Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Terror and Urban Myths. Thanks for joining us for another chilling tale. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you enjoy the show, and please share the spooky vibes with your friends. Tonight, we journey into the heart of Mexican folklore to explore the legend of the Zambo Mono, a creature shrouded in mystery and fear.
The Zambo Mono, it isn't just a monster, it embodies the darker side of humanity. Its origins are intertwined with the story of a young boy named Juanito, a solitary figure living in the remote village of Los Tres Zapotes.
Los Tres Zapotes, a small village enveloped by dense jungle, a place where civilization meets the untamed wilderness. This isolation is crucial to Juanito's story, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Juanito prefers the solitude of the jungle to the company of other children. This preference for isolation might foreshadow his eventual transformation.
So we have Juanito, already an outsider, seeking solace in the wild. But one day, his classmates follow him into the jungle, discovering something shocking. Juanito's body is covered in hair, and he has a tail. Their reaction to this discovery is where the true horror begins. Instead of compassion, they meet him with mockery and bullying.
The children taunt him relentlessly, calling him Juanito the Bear and physically tormenting him. This constant abuse has a profound psychological impact. Folklore often blends reality with fantastical elements, but the emotional trauma Juanito experiences is very real. This trauma could have been a catalyst for a profound change within him.
Juanito's isolation is compounded by this cruelty, leading him to confess to his father that he fears he might hurt someone if the torment continues. Driven by this fear and despair, he makes a heartbreaking decision.
He leaves the village to seek refuge in the jungle, the only place he's ever felt a sense of belonging. This flight into the wilderness marks a turning point. Juanito is no longer just a boy. He's becoming something unknown.
His father, understanding his son's pain, allows him to go, gifting him a conch shell as a symbol of their bond. This act of love is infused with layers of symbolism.
In many cultures, the conch shell represents protection and communication with the spirit world. It's as if the father is trying to provide a lifeline to humanity, a way for Juanito to hold on to his identity. But the jungle has its own power, a power that begins to shape Juanito's fate.
Whispers of Juanito's transformation turn into terrifying stories. As people venturing into the jungle start to disappear, the legend of the Zambo Mono begins to take root.
It's no longer just about Juanito. It's about the fear he inspires. The Zambo Mono, a hairy humanoid with incredible strength capable of vanishing into the dense foliage. This legend taps into a primal fear of the unknown, a fear that resonates across cultures. Think of Bigfoot in North America or the Yeti in the Himalayas.
These wildman myths embody our fear of what lurks in the shadows, of what we can't control. But in the Zambo Mono story, there's an added layer of tragedy. A father forced to live with the knowledge that his son is the source of terror plaguing his community.
Imagine the father's guilt and despair, knowing that his attempt to protect his son with the conch shell might have inadvertently contributed to his transformation.
The very thing meant to protect Juanito might have pushed him further into the darkness. But despite this burden, the father finds a way to use his knowledge to help others, sharing the secret of the conch shell as a potential ward against the Zambo Mono.
It's a desperate attempt to protect both his son and the village, a testament to his enduring love for Juanito, even in his monstrous form.
This act raises many questions. Does the conch shell actually work? Are there stories of people successfully using it to avoid the Zambo Mono? And what does it tell us about the father's own internal struggle?
Unfortunately, the legend doesn't offer concrete answers, which adds to the mystique, but it does give us a lot to think about. That's the beauty of legends like this. They allow for personal interpretation and keep us questioning the world around us.
It makes you wonder about the line between reality and myth, but shifting gears a bit. You mentioned earlier that the Zambo Mono reflects humanity's darker side. Could you elaborate on that? What specifically about this legend reveals those darker aspects?
It's not just about the creature itself. The Zambo Mono is a product of cruelty, a tragic consequence of the villagers' fear and rejection of what they didn't understand. Their actions transform Juanito, reflecting their own capacity for darkness.
So the Zambo Mono isn't inherently evil, but rather a symbol of the darkness that humanity is capable of inflicting on others.
Precisely, and this theme of fearing the unknown is a recurring motif in folklore across cultures. These wild men myths often serve as cautionary tales, warning us about the potential consequences of venturing beyond the boundaries of the familiar.
It's fascinating how these stories, despite their cultural differences, all tap into this primal fear. But the Zambo story adds another layer of complexity with the father's role. He is burdened with the knowledge of his son's transformation, but he chooses to help others by sharing the secret of the conch shell.
It's a testament to his love, and a reminder that even in the face of fear and tragedy, there can be compassion and understanding. But this also raises the question, was giving Juanito the conch shell truly an act of protection? Or did it inadvertently contribute to his isolation and further his transformation?
That's a really thought-provoking point. It challenges our assumptions about the father's intentions and adds a layer of ambiguity to his actions. Could the conch shell, intended as a symbol of connection, have instead become a symbol of separation, pushing Juanito further from humanity?
It's certainly open to interpretation. Perhaps the father in his desperation clung to any hope of maintaining a connection with his son, even if it meant accepting his monstrous form. The conch shell could be seen as a symbol of that desperate hope, a fragile link between two worlds.
It's this complexity that makes the Zambo legend so compelling. It's not a simple story of good versus evil, but rather an exploration of human nature with all its flaws and contradictions.
And that's what makes folklore so powerful. It allows us to confront those uncomfortable truths about ourselves, our capacity for cruelty, our fear of the other, and the ways in which we often project our own darkness onto the unknown.
So as we delve deeper into the psychological and cultural significance of the Zambo what key takeaways should our listeners keep in mind?
I think it's crucial to remember that everyone, even those who seem different or frightening, has a story. The Zambo in his monstrous form is still Juanito, a victim of cruelty and isolation.
His transformation is a consequence of the darkness inflicted upon him, a stark reminder that our actions have far-reaching consequences. We must strive to understand before judging, to choose compassion over fear.
It's easy to demonize what we don't understand, but the Zambo story challenges us to look beyond the surface, to see the humanity in every being, and to recognize that sometimes the monsters we fear are created by our own actions.
The Zambo is a mirror reflecting our own capacity for both darkness and light. It's a reminder that we have a choice in how we respond to the unknown, whether we choose fear and rejection or empathy and understanding.
And that choice ultimately shapes not only our interactions with others, but also the world we create.
The Zambo legend is a powerful reminder that our choices have consequences. It challenges us to confront our own prejudices and to consider the humanity in all beings, even those who appear monstrous. But what about the father? We've talked about the burden he carries, but do you think there's a sense of hope in his actions?
The father's attempt to protect the villagers with the conch shell, even as he grapples with the reality of his son's transformation, speaks volumes. It suggests that even amidst tragedy, even when faced with the consequences of our own actions, there's still a possibility for redemption, for seeking connection and understanding.
It's a reminder that we don't have to succumb to fear and despair, that we can choose to act with compassion, even in the most challenging circumstances.
Exactly. And while the legend leaves the effectiveness of the conch shell open to interpretation, the father's actions themselves offer a glimmer of hope. It suggests that even when confronted with something monstrous, something we fear, there's always a possibility for connection, for bridging the gap between us and the unknown.
It's a powerful message about the enduring nature of love and the potential for reconciliation, even in the face of the monstrous.
And that message resonates even more strongly when we consider the Zambo in the context of other wild man myths. These creatures often represent the untamed aspects of nature, the forces that exist beyond our control. But the Zambo is unique in that his origins are directly linked to human action, to the cruelty inflicted upon Juanito.
It suggests that the monsters we fear are not always external forces, but often the products of our own actions, our own fears and prejudices.
And that's a crucial takeaway from this legend. The Zambo is a reflection of ourselves, of our capacity for both darkness and light. The choice of which path to follow ultimately lies within each of us.
Well, we've reached the end of our exploration of the Zambo legend. It's a chilling tale that forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us. Thank you for joining us tonight on Terror in Urban Myths. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and share this episode with your friends if you enjoyed our dive into this Mexican legend.
It's been a pleasure delving into this fascinating and thought-provoking legend with you.
Until next time, sleep tight and keep the lights on. Good night, everyone.